dark presence in the force. Darth Ku has arrived, and so perhaps have the Detroit Pistons as we get ready for what is always a critical Game 6. That's redundant. Today on Locked On Magic and Locked On Pistons.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are once again dialed in for another crossover episode, our third of the series, believe it or not, as we get ready for Game 6 between the Orlando Magic and the Detroit Pistons. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the host of Locked On Magic. I'm, of course, joined by our good friend, master of the dark side, Darth Ku Khahil of Locked On Pistons. Today's episode of Locked On Magic and Locked On Pistons is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. On today's episode, we're going to chat about who wins Game 6. Will the Pistons force a Game 7, or will the Magic advance the keys to that game? We'll get you ready for that. Plus, the historic showdown between Cade Cunningham and Paolo Banchero, who is more likely to copy that performance and lead their team to victory. But Ku, we got to start here, obviously, with the big story, which is, what did the Pistons do right in Game 5 to extend this series for another game?
Yeah, so look, obviously, I think the first thing that has to be mentioned, and trust me, Magic fans have made sure to let me know first every time, it has to be mentioned, Franz Wagner is out. And Franz being out 100% opens the door. However open the door was before he got hurt, the door opened up like 10 times more. Whatever, yes. However, it's opened way more because he's went out. And look, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for the Magic, but from the Pistons side, there's not much. I don't know what exactly we can say. It's tough. And the playoffs, I mean, injury luck plays into it. Attrition. If we could have every team healthy, I mean, everyone would love to do it. But the Timberwolves lost and Dante in one game.
Look, there are like 4 series that were 3-1.
Yeah.
Someone's going, honestly, I believe this wholeheartedly. One of these series is going to end up with the team down 3-1 winning the series. I think it's going to be Denver. I think Denver's too experienced, and we're going to release this probably while that game is going on. So Freezing Cold, take us later on that. Injuries are a huge part. And you look, we're in the playoffs. You don't apologize for who you have to beat. You just beat the team that's in front of you.
Right.
And the bottom, and again, regardless of any of that, the Magic will have 3 chances being up 3-1. You have 3 chances. If you can't win one of those 3 games, you probably didn't deserve to win the series to begin with. Right. And you're right. Franz Wagner, who has already been ruled out for Game 6, as we're recording this at 5:30 in the afternoon. Not surprised by that. He is still in a boot. Did not seem as optimistic when we talked to him before the game on Wednesday as he did after the game on Monday. He's a huge loss. And we'll talk plenty about Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham looked like he was freed. It looked like he was literally in prison, and now he was freed in that game on Wednesday. Franz Wagner is just a guy that makes so much of this Magic team make sense. And you're right. However open the door was for the Pistons to come back, Franz Wagner being out opens that door wider. I don't know if it's enough for them to squeeze through yet, but it is open much wider. And the Magic's margin for error is much smaller because they lose this power of another 6'10" guy who can defend the perimeter and play on the ball and just bother Cade Cunningham, who's the everything for the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah, and I think obviously that has to be mentioned, that obviously the Magic are going to be without Franz. I'd be shocked if he played Game 7, but if he did, I'd be shocked if he came back.
I don't think he would be. I don't think this just for Magic fans, just my impression. I'm not reporting this. I don't think he would be back until at least Game 3 or 4 of the next series. And maybe not even then. It's a calf strain. You're going to be careful. You're going to give him a week or 2.
Yeah. So that has to be at the top of the list. I think JB Bickerstaff made a few adjustments that I had been really asking for through games 1 to 3. I had been really wanting them to start making some of these adjustments, and he did finally in Game 5. I think that was big. One of them was putting the ball in Asar's hands a lot more, letting him play as a point guard. With Suggs, how aggressive he's playing on Asar. allow him to bring the ball up to where Suggs cannot roam off of him. You can't just roam off of a ball handler. That's a little too disrespectful. He can dribble. He can get to the basket. So he can't do that, which you saw yesterday, which also allows Cade to get off the ball and not have to face the defense from the top of the key every single time and having to get a double team thrown at him and screen and roll. They went away a lot more from the during Cade pick and roll, which I think is a good idea. And without Franz, I wonder if they go back to it a little bit, but I still think that it's allowing Cade to mismatch hunt is I think more advantageous, and they did that in this game. They went more guard on guard screens with Asar and Cade to get Suggs onto Cade, even though Suggs is a good defender. Cade has really liked that matchup of
too small.
A smaller guy uses size, strength, and length to get over him. That was one of the best adjustments I saw JB do. I'm very happy that he did that. He also played Stu more. I mean, they have been incredible in the minutes with Stu on the floor. And it's been a weird thing to where you know how important JD has been through the season, Jalen Duren, that is. And they have a relationship where they can't just bench him and take too many of his minutes away because you can't ruin that relationship, especially ahead of restricted free agency. So they've been trying to find a way to dance a little bit around it. Stu finally played 20 minutes in this game, and he was absolutely incredible. So I think the more they play Stu, the better chance they have to win. I think Stu has been much, much better than Jalen Duren. Even though I thought Duren was better in this past game, I think Stu was still.
I thought that was Duren's best game of the series.
Yeah,
and a lot of it was they didn't force things to him. Like I felt like in games 3 and 4 specifically, they're just trying so hard to get him going, and that like threw them a little bit out of whack. And I thought this game, like the ball kind of found him in spots and found him like he cleaned up. Like nothing wrong with being a vulture. When I play pickup, I'm a vulture. I don't care. You're just trying to score points. And at this point of a series, you're just trying to win the game however you need to win. I agree with all those points. I thought Detroit did a lot better with like staggers to like confuse the Magic switching. Like they'd have Cade run off of 2 screens, so they'd have him run off a Duren screen and then a Thompson screen to try and kind of keep the Magic from switching so cleanly, or to switch the end of the screening line, which would have been Jalen Suggs. And obviously Cade had this incredible game. And I think we will need to talk more specifically about that. The other point though, I think from game 5, from the Magic perspective, and I think this has been like the key all series. It's really about these hustle points and these like kind of hidden possessions. If I'm not mistaken, the team that has gotten the most offensive rebounds has won every game in this series.
Yeah.
And so, like, again, that's not dispositive because the Magic haven't scored a lot of second chance points. They've they did well with their second chance points in this game, which they hadn't done all series. But it's more just like an attitude and a tone setter of like, this is an indicator of which team is working harder, is being more physical. And like, that's what this series has been about. And I think really for the first time since the third quarter of game 2, obviously, the Pistons were the more physical team. Like they came out with the desperation you expect of a good team that's down 3-1, that has their playoff lives on the line. They set the tone early. I think the Magic rightfully do have some complaints about the officiating early in the game. They were called for 5 fouls in the first 7 possessions, but a lot of those were fouls, and the Magic put themselves in bad positions and did not adjust to the officiating. And all of a sudden, with Detroit in the bonus with like 8 minutes to play in the first quarter, they have to take a step back, and any good team is going to take advantage of that, especially a team like Detroit that is looking to be physical and looking to get in the paint and has gotten to the paint a lot in this series. And so I think part of what happened in game 5, like obviously a lot of things went right for Detroit, but part of what happened in game 5 is that Orlando had to kind of lose some of what made them successful just out of necessity, not just because Franz was out, but out of necessity because of the way the game kind of flowed. And, some of that's out of your hands. Some of that's just, you got to adjust better. The Magic didn't adjust to it. And I think they did adjust to it as the game wore on, and you saw them climb back into the game. They got it down to, they were down 17 in the first half, got it down to 6 at halftime. They had several cracks to take the lead in that third quarter. Couldn't get it. Went down 15 early in the fourth quarter, slowly dragged it back down to 3 with about a minute to play. So I think all the battle lines of this series are still very, very similar in that it's about who's working harder, who's more physical, who is getting, earning the benefit of the whistle. I don't think there's I don't think refs are biased. These are the best officials. As much as everyone complains about NBA officials, these are still the best officials in the league. Go watch a college game and tell me that that's any better than what you're getting in the NBA. You do have to earn the respect of the whistle, though. And I don't think the Magic really got that until they settled down in the second half. And obviously things were more productive in the second half, where the Pistons still won. They won 50 to 49 in the second half. So the Magic, I think, still showed like, hey, we can get down and defend a little bit more. But by then, the Pistons had some confidence. They're playing with the lead. I think it's really difficult to play uphill in this series with how good these defenses have been. And so the Magic kind of ran out of time at the end, I felt like.
Yeah, I think the talk about the officials, there's a few, obviously getting into the bonus early in a quarter is tough. I mean, the Pistons got, I think it was game 4 where Duncan like fouled 4 straight times on Paolo, and Orlando got straight into the bonus with like 10 minutes left or whatever. It's tough, but I think the officiating at the end of the day, I feel like if it, after the larger sample size collects, if they're even, I don't feel like there's much been, like there hasn't been that much of a difference between like the free throws. There hasn't been much of a difference at all about who's been called for as many fouls. Like these teams are right next to each other, 13, 14, 15, 16.
Yeah. They're both
fouling the hell out of each other.
They've virtually taken the same number of free throws in this series. And Orlando, I think, has had 30 free throws, at least 30 free throw attempts in 4 of the 5 games. I think game 2 was
rightfully so. I mean, these teams are playing physical. They're beating each other up. They're grabbing. They're holding. There's probably 10 plus calls on both sides that you could probably call that haven't been called. And I don't think any of us really want them called, to be honest. I think we want it to be physical. So I think getting into the bonus, I'm aware it does make you fall back and have to be, okay, we got to be a little bit more careful here. I think the Pistons, with the adjustments they made, I think the main reason, or the main thing that should be like a big positive for Detroit is, I don't think Cade is going to drop 45 again. I mean, if he drops 40 again, I mean, that's just,
that's you tip your cap, and that's why he's an MVP candidate.
If he does that, but I think, I don't know if Orlando has anybody that can guard him now without Franz. Franz was incredible. I mean, Franz was, you mentioned it. It wasn't just the fact that he was guarding Cade well, it was the fact that he was switching on to Duren well, which was then taking Duren away and then clogging up the paint even more. Like, he was so important. I felt like, I mean, he was important to the offense, but I felt like he was way more important to you guys' defense than anything. So without him, I don't know if there's anybody on Orlando that really has a chance in Cade one-on-one. And the Pistons have seen last 2 games, I would say, even in the game against, when Franz was still around, it felt like the Pistons were trying to lean more into it even still. It wasn't going to be as successful, but they were trying to lean more into isolation with Cade. Instead of putting him in a bunch of screening action with Duren, they were trying to just let Cade win in ISO situations. I think you're going to probably see that volume go up even more. And I just don't know how we'll talk about who we think will win. Obviously, do I think the Pistons can extend the series to 7? One of the pros for the Pistons is I don't think they feel like there's anyone on Orlando now that can stay with Cade, and that should give them a good chance to do it.
I would say this, and I think we should dive deeper into the Cade Paolo matchup that we saw and what that means for the rest of this series. But I would say I left game 5 for the first time saying the Magic have something they need to figure out. Like the Pistons asked them a question and they did not immediately have an answer for it. And you only have a day between games now, and you're an elimination game. I think that's going to be, I think that matchup with Cade and what the Magic do to adjust their defense to Cade Cunningham without Franz Wagner is going to be the central question of game 6. Let's dive a little bit into how the Magic answer that question and whether Paolo Banchero can match whatever Cade Cunningham's going to do once again. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic and Locked On Pistons is brought to you by our friends over at DoorDash. Postseason is heating up, and DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching the highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes the entire season more fun because every player has their bag. With DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. There are nights when your team stresses you out, especially this time of year. It doesn't even matter if you're up. You're just stressed out. So let DoorDash become your post-game therapy to bring you down or to celebrate that big victory. From tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, gear, whatever gets you through the season, delivered right to your door. DoorDash, in your bag all season long. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is also brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are here and every possession matters. If you're looking to get even closer to the action, FanDuel has great offers to get you started. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's right. Turn $5 into $150 in bonus bets just for getting started. You can check the stats. You can track your bets live, track trends, matchups before making your picks or while you're making your picks, which makes the whole experience feel a lot more informed. As has been the case all series long, heading into Game 6, even though the Magic are favored to win the series by some betting markets, and I think even by FanDuel, the Pistons are favored by 3.5 entering Friday's Game 6 as the Magic tried to eliminate the Pistons, advance to the second round, or the Pistons tried to get to a Game 7. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. Ku and I want to thank you once again for making Locked On Magic or Locked On Pistons part of your day every day. Hopefully you're making both part of your day during this series. We truly appreciate it, and welcome fans from the other teams. I don't think we should be rivals. I think we should be friends. We're going to be
I've accepted the troll. I've accepted the troll.
Yeah.
The troll
guys,
role.
Magic and Pistons fans, we're going to do this again, probably next year. If not next year, the year after. We're going to be very good friends. Trust us. So no matter which team you're following, join our Everydayer Club to take your fandom to the next level. You can check that out at Locked On Magic or LockedOnPistons.supercast.com. That's LockedOnMagic.supercast.com or LockedOnPistons.supercast.com to get access to the ad-free audio feed of these shows, as well as our Locked On Discord server. Again, LockedOnMagic.supercast.com or LockedOnPistons.supercast.com. Ku, I think you and I are probably so like into this series and like the minutia and like the back and forth of the series itself that I don't think we truly I know I didn't in the moment.
I definitely didn't.
At Little Caesars
I definitely
Arena.
did not.
Like what we saw Wednesday night was a truly special playoff battle. It was a truly special playoff matchup. Both Cade Cunningham and Paolo Banchero, I think, more than justified the accolades that they do get. I know Paolo, people still kind of in and out on him, but that's the kind of game that's why those guys are number one picks. And both of them stepped up so humongously in a big spot. Neither of those guys were going to let their team lose. And frankly, aside from Paolo missing 7 free throws, which is a whole other issue on its own, neither of them let their team lose last night. And that was a special playoff performance as a special playoff game as I think we're going to see certainly in this series, but for a long time.
I mean, getting that in the first round was definitely, I said this earlier on my podcast, on the Squad Show. I think non-biased or rooting interest fans probably enjoyed the hell out of that game.
Yeah.
I was stressed the hell.
Yeah.
I could not enjoy any of it until the next day. The next day I went back and I was like, man, that was crazy. But in the moment, It was like, dude, what is going on? Please, man. But no, it was an incredible performance from both sides. It was very much, again, like I said, I went back and watched more of it today. I watched the highlights. It was a lot more fun to enjoy it afterwards. Obviously, now you don't have a rooting interest. Now you know the result. Look, Paolo was, I've been one of Paolo's biggest skeptics. I've been very critical of him. And the shots he was hitting yesterday are those shots that you just dap him up after and you say, you know what? Good stuff, bro. Good shot. Yeah. You got it going. There's nothing we can do about this. Because after the first two few jumpers, it felt like the Pistons were like, okay, we're living with that. That's what we're going to live with here. And then he started hitting another one. And then he hit another one. And now you're starting to see like they're getting a little bit closer. They're trying to play a little bit more aggressive. And now he's hitting step backs. And it's like, oh my God, bro. Is he just like have magnets just went into the ball or something? Like, are we just like, and then the league got cut to 3. And at that point, I'm sitting there like,
I was sitting next to Jason Beatty, the Orlando Sentinel, and Young Music of ESPN. And when Paolo hit that 3 and made it a 3-point game with a minute to go, I was like, uh-oh. Like, Detroit's starting to feel it a little bit now. It's just like, what do we need to do to put these guys down?
It was crazy because I felt like from opening tip off, the Pistons really just controlled the game throughout.
Yes,
I thought because the Magic just wouldn't like like the Pistons threw multiple knockout punches and the Magic just got back up. The fact that the Magic wouldn't just take a knockout punch and just say, okay, you know what, going to game 6, they couldn't just keep the game away. But I felt like the Pistons just had it controlled really until that moment. And that was the only time, like even if they would have ended the game with the same score, they won by 7, I still would have felt like, oh, that actually was better than a 7-point victory or whatever, blah, blah. But because that was starting to happen, it was like, oh my God, are they actually going to lose this? Like, is Paolo about to have one of these like moments where you're like, how in the hell did he do that? Like, it's one of those moments you remember for such a long time. He came back down. I think he took another 3 after that. And at that point, I was like, it's going in. Like he just everything just gonna go in.
After and like that Cade shot that Cade took over Dez. Like first off, Asar Thompson digging out that rebound. Like I thought, like to me, that was so symbolic of the game from the Magic perspective of like Jalen Suggs fought on that play and they didn't always fight for some of those offensive rebounds they gave up, but they essentially lost the game on losing an offensive rebound, losing a 50-50 ball, and Cade Cunningham hitting a star shot. Like that was a star shot that he hit over, I think it was over Bain, to make it a 5-point game and just kind of calm everyone down. And you burn 30 seconds off the clock, almost 40 seconds, 35 seconds off the clock. That was a star making shot. So we saw like, I think Cade has had some really strong playoff performances last year against the Knicks. Paolo has had some really big showings. I don't think either of them had like, we're announcing ourselves as not only as stars, but as playoff performers on a stage where everybody was watching, quite like both did last night.
It was like I don't know I forget which Rocky movie it is, but when it ends with both of them swinging, it ends with the punch going right at both of each other.
Yeah, Rocky 3.
That's what that was. They both threw uppercuts, hooks, like they threw absolute everything at each other. It was, again, in the time, I'm sure it wasn't fun to watch for Magic fans. It probably wasn't fun for Pistons fans. But after the fact, it was like, man, you just saw incredible shot making from both teams' best player in that moment. And they were just like, Cade was, I refuse to let this season end in front of my home crowd. I refuse to let this season that we won 60 games, let this embarrassment of losing to an 8 seed. Magic are better than 8 seed, but losing to an 8 seed as a 1 seed. I refuse to let that happen. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen in Orlando. I refuse to let it happen here in front of my home crowd. And Paolo on the other end, I don't care what that is. I will not let my team go down like this. It was a special performance. And I see a lot of national shows talking about it, a lot of national people talking about it. And I don't know if you saw it, the ratings were, I think they said it's the highest viewed game, first round game, and however many, like it was.
It's incredible on Prime. It's still streaming. Like we're still getting used to the whole streaming thing, and I question how the NBA is measuring some of these like most viewed things, and like I'm not debating that. I think it's good. Like I think the NBA is a much healthier spot than their naysayers like to say, but. Like I'm gonna slow down and say, like, okay, hold on, guys. Like it's you're tooting your own horn a little too much here. Like I'm gonna put my journalism hat and be a little skeptical, but like like it's one of those. It like obviously we're watching it, and frankly, I didn't even realize Cade had 45. Like I knew Paolo was hovered in the 30s at a certain point. I didn't even realize Cade had 45. I was like, oh, Cade's freer than he was before, and like. Just he didn't feel as trapped in a box as he did in games 3 and 4 for sure. It didn't feel like he had 45. It just felt like he was just doing what he had to do to win the game. And obviously the Magic were down more. And Paolo it just felt like Paolo was like, we're not losing this game. We're not losing this game because of me and because of anything that I'm doing. I'm gonna give my team the best chance to win this game. And like it was, I mean, that's what you want in the playoffs. Like I mean, like. We're gonna get into game 6 here. We're gonna stop giving each other flowers here in a minute. But like this is like the playoffs aren't supposed to be easy. You're playing the best players in the world. They're going to give their best performances. This is what you want to see. And frankly, like I'll ask what your feelings into game 6 before we go to the break here. The performance that Paolo put and the Magic hanging that tough, despite the Pistons throwing what I think was their best punch. Game 5 was their best 48 minutes that they've played this series. I think the Magic still came out of it like, okay, that's the best they got. Like we can match that. We can beat that, especially on our home floor. It felt like a very confident Magic locker room saying we're going to finish this at, Wendell Carter said we're going to finish this at the crib. He didn't say it exactly like that. I don't want to make bulletin board material, but he said like we're confident heading back to the crib. Before we move into what's going to happen in Game 6, what is your feeling on where the Pistons are at moving into Game 6 now?
Well, you remember me and you were talking off the air, off the podcast, offline. That like after Game 2, I remember you said that to me that, hey, yeah, the Magic locker room was like, oh yeah, we're good. And I remember telling you that I was told that like the Pistons were like, okay, we weathered that first game. They beat us, but we made sure like we got one at home. We're settled back in. We're going to be good. And then obviously it played out. The Magic went on and we're like, no, that did not do anything to us. We were good. So I am not shocked at all to see that the Magic, or to hear that the Magic are confident. I mean, they took, again, like I said, the Pistons thought Game 2, it was like, okay, we settled everything down. They realize who we are, and we're gonna set steady things here. And it didn't happen. So I'm not shocked at all that the Magic are very confident still. I think the Pistons feel like, let me not say thing. I have heard again that the Pistons, they are confident, but they're not confident based off this last performance. They're confident that they think they can play even better. There has not been yet, at least from what I've heard, they don't feel like they've played 2025, 2026 Piston basketball yet. They feel like they've really let themselves down. They feel like they've really not played up to their standards, and they feel like they can still get to another level. Now, doing it in Orlando, where Orlando is, correct me if I'm wrong, 8-1 over the last 3 years in the playoffs.
They have one loss in three seasons, three postseasons over the last 3 years. So yeah. They're hard, and the Celtics needed to go to crunch time to win that game.
Yeah. So the Magic are incredible at home. The Pistons have been good on the road. I mean, they were good on the road all year. They won
last
2
year in the
games.
playoffs.
Yeah, they won 2 games in Madison Square Garden, but the Magic are incredible at home, and just as much. This is we'll get into it. I don't want to extend the segment too long, but last thing I'll say is there's a lot of pressure, obviously, on the Pistons because their season is going to end if they don't win. There is a lot of, like, it's over. Like, their 60-win season, their first seed season, like, there's pressure on them. If it doesn't go, it's over. There's just like there's pressure on the Pistons, though. There is pressure on the Magic of we do not want to go back to game. At least I'll speak for myself. I don't think they want to go back to Game 7 in Detroit, but the Pistons also can't have their season end. So I don't know if there's really like a benefit or someone having more pressure. I feel like both teams understand the pressure that is coming with Game 6. Obviously, maybe the Pistons have, because obviously the Magic have another game. So maybe you can say the Pistons are dealing with more. But I feel like both teams are aware of how important I think this Game 6 is.
That's what a playoff series is. Game 6 is always big, especially when the team that can win it is at home. So let's talk then. What will decide Game 6 and who's going to come out on top? We're going to give at least hints of our predictions coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic and Locked On Pistons is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. There's nothing like playoff basketball live. The intensity, the crowd, the rivalries. It's a completely different experience when you are in the building. The NBA playoffs are where unforgettable moments like last night's game between the Magic and the Pistons happen. And being there in person just hits different. Game Time makes it incredibly easy to find tickets, even for those hard to get playoff games. In just a few taps and with the Game Time guarantee, you know you're getting 100% authentic tickets on time at the best price. Game Time makes it so easy to find great seats in just a couple of minutes. You literally load up the page. They got all the seats, all the tickets available. They got the prices on there. That is the total price. No extra fees added. What you see is what you pay. You get even the digital view of the court, the stage, the field, whatever you're going to, so you know exactly what you're buying. Plus, with the lowest price guarantee and ticket coverage, you can feel confident every time you're buying tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON, spelled out LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Today's episode of Locked On Magic and Locked On Pistons is brought to you by our friends over at Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location, so you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute that I'll be talking to you today, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show will get an added bonus, a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the same status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. All right, we are here. Final segment, final moment of truth, final time that we will probably talk to each other on this podcast, at least to preview, to talk about this series, unless our director says, hey, you're doing a Game 7 pod, figure it out. Ku, what is the biggest key for the Pistons to extend this series to Game 7?
So I don't know. I can't remember if we mentioned it earlier, but Tobias Harris is questionable right now.
Yes, we did not mention that. That is a big deal. He finished that game, looked like he rolled his ankle under the basket there. Finished the game, and Tobias has been very good this series. Like beyond minus 3-point shooting, he has been very good this series, and I think that is something the Magic were not counting on.
I mean, he's gonna
play. He's gonna play. Like, he'll find a way to play.
I mean, I will hope, because if he doesn't play, I don't know like how much of a chance the Pistons would have without him. Like, I think they have a chance with him. Without him, I don't know how much of a chance they would even have. They need Tobias. He's been incredible. The 3-point shooting, like you mentioned, hasn't been great. But despite that, everything else he's doing, he's hitting timely buckets, mismatches. He's able to score in the post. He's able to get to a mid-range shot. He's fighting on the glass. He's doing a decent job. I know Paolo just went up for 45, but before then, I felt like he's been doing a good job on Paolo. Like, he's been fighting, and he's been an incredible vet. So they need him if they're going to win. I would say the key factor in Game 6 for the Detroit Pistons is they have to be able. They cannot allow the Magic to hit as many threes as they did in this game 5, and I think a lot of that was just shooting variance, and I think this series has just been a lot of shooting variance. I don't think either team is going to shoot well from 3 on a normal night. Like, I don't expect, if the Pistons hit 15 threes, I think it's cooked.
That was a weird shooting game for both teams. Both teams shot pretty well.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen again. Like, I don't think, I don't expect either team to shoot well from beyond the arcs, but the Pistons priority needs to be, I understand Paolo is going to hunt out the mismatch, and I think there's an adjustment they can do to try to prevent that. But he's going to hunt out the mismatch. I think that's basically been the offense almost every single possession for the Magic. It's to hunt out a mismatch and let Paolo attack. I understand they're going to do that. You can't help on that. You can't, at least early. You cannot send a double early or help early and allow the Magic to get open threes and put yourself in a position where you're relying on shooting variance. And at home, where role players shoot better at home and threes get the crowd going more than Paolo gets a layup, crowd will get crazy. But like, if Suggs hits a deep 3, they're going crazy. Anthony Black hits a 3, they're going to go crazy. You can't let that momentum start going. And Paolo has not been good on drives in this series. He's been good from beyond the arc, but he has not been good on drives. I think you just gotta. The thing that I've been most impressed with Paolo in this series, and I'm openly acknowledging that I have been someone who has been very critical of his and not a believer. But what I have been most impressed by him in this series is his passing. He's done a great job of seeing when the Pistons are sending help at him. He is seeing it quicker than I thought he would, and he's making the right read and letting his teammates feast off of that. I think that has been the Magic's best offense. I think the Pistons are going into that willingly too much. I think you avoid getting the switch on Duncan. There's an adjustment I think they can do to avoid that. But even if you do, I think you flood the baseline like they've been trying to do with Duren late and just make the contest harder. But you cannot double. I don't feel like you can double him. I don't think you should be showing. Make Paolo beat you. If he does, again, it's one of those ones where you just dap him up after. If he does, he outplayed you and you lose. But you can't give a team, I feel like in Orlando, both these teams have been bad in the half court offense. Like, they haven't been, like, you can't.
And I think credit to their defenses. Defenses have been really like we're talking little things here. Like, we're talking like these are little things because the base is good.
Yeah, and that's, I guess I should say that. I remember, obviously, before the series, I said the Pistons would win in 5. And then after they lost Game 1, I said it was still on the board. They could win in 5.
Yes.
I will say the one area that I did underestimate the Magic they are a much better defensive team in these playoffs than I thought they would. I know they were good last year defensively, but I just didn't think it was something that, I didn't think it was something they could just channel. And they have been really good defensively. I underestimated that. But yeah, my point is, like, in a series like this, when you know it's physical, they're grabbing, it's going to be low scoring. Neither team really, I feel like, wants to, and that's why I'm interested to see what you think is going to happen. I don't think either team really wants to openly give up 2-on-1 or 2-on-the-ball situations, because then that creates open threes. Losing a random 3-point hot streak is something neither team, I don't think, wants to lose that way. So that would be the thing I would do. I'd force Paolo to really try to win one-on-one, show help late along the baseline. And if he beats you that way, you just, you shouldn't have put yourself down 3-1.
Yeah, I think where Paolo has really struggled this series, and it struggles in general, is like when he has to slow down, when he slows things down to a crawl and is kind of waiting to see what the defense is going to do. When they show Duran early, like, he understands, this is my read. Where Detroit, I think, has been really successful against Paolo is when they let him make the first move and then they crash Asar down from the wing. And because the Magic want to involve Bane in actions with Paolo, Asar or keep Bane kind of close to where Paolo is. Asar is always kind of lurking. And so I will be curious how they change their double strategy with him. Paolo's got to make quick decisions, and that's always been kind of the challenge with him. I am curious about two things with Paolo. In Orlando, we've always viewed Paolo as a playoff performer. He's always upped his scoring in the playoffs. Because he scored 45 points in a 5-game series, he is upped his scoring this year again for like 25 points. He scored 25 in game 3, 45 in game 5. I think he had 22 in game 1 and then 18 in game 2 and 4. So he's had a weird series. His fingerprints have been all over it, but he isn't like scoring at the regularity. I am curious if like another elimination game, players make their names in elimination games, like whether it's saving elimination or eliminating a team. The star players make their names in these kinds of games and going for the kill or saving the season. I personally on my pod said this needs to, like, game 5 needs to be a Paolo legacy game with Franz Wagner out. This is like, we've been begging Paolo Banchero to step up, be the leader on this team with Franz out. He was really inconsistent of that throughout the season. If the Magic were going to win game 5, they needed a big Paolo performance. The way this season has gone, he has not been able to sustain that kind of play for very, very long. And obviously Detroit's going to make some adjustments and it's a different game. I will be curious if, like, this, for lack of a better way to phrase it, kind of opens the floodgates for Paolo. And now he is just swarming with confidence, swarming with some rhythm. I'm not expecting 45 from him either, but can you get me a 28, 10 and 8 game like you did in game 3? That game was 25, 12 and 9 or something like that. Just some quick numbers that I want to bring up since we brought up the 3-point shooting. Both teams have been averaging about 15 wide open 3-pointers per game, according to the NBA.com tracking stats, which I know not everyone trusts or everyone likes, but I think it's indicative of something. Last night in game 5, Orlando shot 10 for 21 on wide open threes, which is a crazy percentage for them because even on wide open threes, they're still shooting high 30s. But they got 21 wide open threes.
Yep.
That tells me that they found a process, that something was working for them process-wise to get good looks. This was shooting variance, and I don't expect the Magic to shoot 45%. I know we talked about this. The Magic were going to have a good shooting game at some point in the series. They're more reliant on 3-point shots than Detroit is. They're going to have a good 3-point shooting game, and the Magic needed to win that game. They did not win that game. But I would argue they did get quality looks. And if they can recreate those quality looks, and I'm not expecting 20, if they can get 17, 18 wide open threes and still make 10 of them, which is, or make 7, 8 of them, that could be enough, especially in that crowd.
Do you happen to have, I was just wondering, do you happen to have the Pistons, how many open threes they got?
They were 4 for 14 last night.
I was going to say, I don't think it felt like they didn't even create a lot of threes yesterday.
Yeah, they were 4 for 14 on wide open threes. I'll give the series averages. Series average, Orlando is shooting 16.2 wide open 3-point attempts per game. Now, the way the NBA defines it is closest defender is 6 or more feet away. I've talked to some analytics people who have a love-hate relationship. They say the 6 or more feet away thing is a better indicator of, like, whether you're actually open or actually generating shots. a lot of teams like are happy with the Magic taking wide open threes because they're not a good 3-point shooting team. They're shooting 39.5% on wide open threes in this series, which is a big deal. So the volume is okay, 16.2. Detroit is at 14.2. They're shooting just 26.8% on wide open 3-pointers per game. The shooting's been a big difference in this series. So you're right to point out 3-point shooting. In one way or another, it's favored the Magic, and it does become a math problem if you're really bad at 3-point shooting. Magic fans know this. The Magic are winning the 3-point line, and especially at home, like you mentioned, players tend to shoot a lot better. Jalen Suggs in the regular season was a 38% 3-point shooter at home. He's like 28, 29% on the road. I think we're still due for a good, we haven't had a big Jalen Suggs shooting game in this series. I think he was 3 for 10, like he's taken a lot of attempts. He was like 1 for 11.
I mean,
on Monday.
The crazy thing is that he hasn't had a huge game, but he's been so aggressive that every time he shoots a 3, we feel us in Detroit, we feel like it's going in. Like every time it's like, oh, here we go.
If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen Friday. My key to this game, and I think I've hinted at it a few times, the Magic are winning this series because they have won the margins. Yep. They have won the offensive glass, which is a huge deal for Detroit. Detroit is one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the league. I think they trailed only Houston on offensive rebound rate. They're not winning second chance points. Like that's been about even, but even forcing Detroit to scramble and reset their defense,
just having extra possessions.
Having those extra possessions. Turnovers are huge. I've been a big believer all series long that if the Magic turn the ball over more than 15 times, they are in trouble. Detroit was really good, especially on Wednesday or on Tuesday. Sorry, on what day is it? I don't know what day it is. On Wednesday. Today's Thursday. Every day is Tuesday in the NBA. In Game 5, the Pistons were really good at turning turnovers into fast breaks. I've got my stat sheet with me here. They had 19 fast break points in the game. They had 17. They had 16 turnovers. The Magic had 16 turnovers to turn into 19 points. Orlando got a lot of that back, and they forced a lot of turnovers in the second half. But like again, those extra possessions, those extra shot opportunities in a game that's so close, and games 3, 4, and 5 were all clutch time games. Like the Magic won 2 of them, the Pistons won 1. Like I tell people all the time, good teams don't win close games; they avoid them because they're they can be kind of random. Pistons were up 1, Magic go on a 9-0 run to win the game. Tie game, Magic tie game with 5.5 minutes to play in Game 4. The Magic hold the Pistons without a field goal for the last 5.5 minutes of that game.
That one, can I say that game right there is probably the ugliest game of the series? I'm not gonna, that game was the ugliest one.
It was glorious how ugly that game was. Like, give me more of that one. But the Magic have won. The Magic to me have won this series because Detroit won the margins. That's how they built their 60-win season. Orlando has won all of those margins. They've won them 3 times. If they win it a 4th time, I think they're gonna win. They're gonna win this game. So let me just dive in there. I'm the home team. I'm gonna go first. I think the Magic are gonna win those margins. I think they're gonna get a little shooting burst. I think they have found something offensively, and I'm sure Detroit will tweak. I don't think they'll shoot as well, but I think this is a team that is playing with a ton of confidence. They understand they let Game 5 slip. That Game 5 was as much, not that Detroit didn't play well. Game 5 was on them. Their missed free throws, their mistakes. They're going to clean that up. I think they're going to play much more determined, and I think they're going to win, and I think they're going to advance on their home floor. Cool.
So
what do you think is going to happen in Game 6?
It's going to be tough, man. So for the Pistons listeners, I'll give you guys some hope.
Give it to them.
I'll give Pistons fans hope.
The hope is what kills you. The hope is what kills you.
and Darth is trying to bring a little bit of light to the force. Look, Philip is 100% right about what he's talking about with the possession battle. Whoever wins the possession battle has won every single game. For Pistons fans, I guess I should probably start with my prediction. I'll say the Pistons will win just because
you have to
speak positive. It's going to be hard for the Pistons to win in Orlando in Game 6. I will say, I'll go ahead and get my early prediction out here. I do think if Orlando loses Game 6, I do not think they're winning Game 7 in Detroit. I think it's over. I think Orlando should be. Honestly, I don't think Detroit should be favored. I'm shocked they're favored. I think Orlando should be favored, and I think they are the more likely team to win this game. I'll pick Detroit, but I think Orlando's more likely to win this game. If they don't win this game, I'm putting all my money in my entire bank account on Detroit winning in Game 7. I would be utterly shocked if they lost Game 7. So I think this is really important for Orlando to win here.
Yes.
For the Pistons fans, what you should be happy about and feel like they can do it. In regards to what Philip was talking about, 100%, whoever wins the possession battle wins these games. I think what you can look at in game 5 as a reason to feel like, obviously, Magic fans feel like they're the best team. Pistons fans feel like they're the best team. And they both sides have a reason to feel that way. I mean, the Magic are up 3-2. The Pistons had 61. Both sides have a reason to feel that way. Pistons fans who believe that they are the better team. The Magic lost this game against the Pistons, despite the fact that they outscored them by 21 from the three-point line. And the Pistons, while they did win the margins, they did not win them as astronomically as they did during the regular season. They only had one more turnover than the Magic. They had less points off turnovers than the Magic. There was a 1 point difference in second chance points between the Pistons and the Magic. The Pistons only won the fast break battle by 5 points. So it was relatively close. Free throw, I know the free throws, the Magic missed a lot of free throws, but I think that's really offset by the fact that the Magic outscored the Pistons by 21 from deep.
Like, look, in reality, like, the Magic will probably, they were 17 for 38, and they haven't taken 38 threes all series. They've been hovering in the upper 90 and the upper 20s. So let's take out 9 3-point attempts and say the Magic are 10 for 29 or 11 for 20.
And then you guys won't go 16 of 30 from the free throw.
They'll go 28,
maybe not 90%,
but like for 34 or something like that.
Yeah. So for Pistons fans, you should feel like the Magic, and the stat that you should really watch is the fact that they had the exact same amount of shot attempts. That has been really why I've been tracking each game. Last game, the Magic won. They had 10 more shot attempts than the Pistons, and they lost. If the Pistons can keep everything else even, and they can keep it they can lose some of them slightly. If they can keep everything else relatively even between each other, and the Magic don't make 17 threes, you have a reason to believe that the Pistons will win that they will win straight up. That, okay, everything's relatively similar. Who will win here? I think you can feel like that the Pistons will win that. So I think that's the main thing for the Pistons. You cannot get dominating possession battle like Philip mentioned. You cannot turn the ball over 23 times like they did, I think, in game 4.
I think that was 4, yeah.
Yeah, you can't turn over that many times. You have to be able to turn the Magic over. And if you keep all those things just relatively even, I think the Pistons will come out as the better team. I think they will prove to end up being the better team if they do that. And major reason for that is that when you keep all those things tight, then it just comes down to who was the best player really on both teams. And I feel like even with Paolo, how well he was amazing. I mean, I'm giving him, he was amazing in game 5. I think the Pistons will take that back. If they can get it to the point where it's like, okay, who's the best player on the floor? Pistons will take that. If they can get it there, they can win game 6. It's going to be tough though. Orlando is that crowd is I should give Magic fans this credit too. The crowd was way better than I thought it. Like, not even saying that I thought it was a bad crowd, but it was way more crazy than I thought it would be. It's going to be hard to win in Orlando, but if you can do those things, I think the Pistons will come out the better team.
I would say this. The last 3 games were all qualified for clutch time. Game 1 was a lot closer than that final score indicated to. The only quote unquote blowout in this series belongs to the Pistons in game 2.
Yeah. Magic controlled a little bit of game 1, Pistons made a run.
The Magic controlled game 1 throughout. It was a 4-point game with 7.5, 6 minutes to play, something like that. And then De Silva hit that 3 to make it 7, and that was kind of the last push they made. Obviously, like game 3, Orlando was up 17 early in the fourth quarter. The Pistons made their run to take the lead. Like, these games have all been incredibly close. And this is why I'm very big into saying, like, good teams don't win close games, they avoid them. In the playoffs, you do have to win close games. Like, that does matter, because each game, it doesn't matter whether you win by 1 or win by 20, they all count the same. The really good Pistons team is still in there somewhere. The Magic have done a very good job frustrating them. I do think, and this has been the case in every game in this series, I've said this to everyone I've talked to, first 6 minutes of the first quarter matter. Like, getting the team, getting to the media timeout on the road is vital. Making the other team call the first timeout out of both halves is vital. Like, that is the whole game, or a big chunk of the game, especially when you're on the road. If you can, you got to get to that media timeout. Like it very much felt like watching game 5. They sat me pretty close to the court. Watching Jamal Mosley, he was determined not to call that timeout early and not let the crowd kind of get into it, get to the media timeout and go from there. These games have been incredibly close. This is a 3-2 series. It was a 3-1 series, but it wasn't like, the surprise was that the Magic were hanging tough as tough as they are. I do wonder though, and this was my feeling going into game 5 and what the Magic had to do. I do wonder though, if there comes a point where let's say the Magic are up 6-7 points, they hit that big three, like maybe mid third quarter, hit that big three, get a stop, hit another big three. Is there a point where Detroit just goes, we can't do anything to beat these guys? Like it felt a little bit like in game 5 or heading into game 5 that the Magic were in their heads a little bit. And I don't think Detroit did enough in game 5 to make the Magic doubt themselves. Like there's some things to figure out, but I don't think they doubt themselves. I think Orlando still has a little plot of land inside Detroit's psyche to say, like, if things get rough, I'm expecting a close game or a relatively competitive game. But there like we know how these elimination games go. Sometimes it gets hard and you're just like, we're done. We're cooked. We can't solve this anymore. And so that is what Detroit has to guard against. I think it's really important on the road to just stay close. If you let that thing get above 10, it's going to be trouble.
I think Orlando probably does still have a little bit of psyche, but I think it's really just in one player. I think Jalen Duren is the only guy they really got it with. I think if they had Franz, I would agree with you. I think if they still had Franz, I think they would be a level of, if they were to go up 10 in the third quarter and like force a timeout, it would be a level of, man, I can't get this switch. I can't, like, this is like, we can't get nothing going. I think Cade is at a point where he feels like there's nobody on the other team. As long as I'm here, we can win still. So, but I do think, I think Duren is the guy that you guys do still have something with. If stuff starts going wrong for him, Pistons fan, I'm telling you right now, if JB doesn't take Jalen Duren out, once things start going sideways for him, they will lose this game. He will press. It's going to be over.
For both teams, it's put up or shut up time. Like Jamal Mosley, who everyone complains plays too many players, plays like 10, 11 guys. He played 8 guys in game 5. I thought JB Bickerstaff, especially playing with a lead, and I don't think he would have done this if they weren't playing with lead. He did such a good job stealing like a minute and a half, 2 minutes on the bench for Cade. Just getting him out of the game real quickly. They were up by like 12 points, getting him out of the game, getting him some water, throwing him right back in the game. Did the same thing with Asar in the second half, did the same thing with Tobias Harris in the second half. There's nothing to hold back. Like, you play your best players at this point and you let them decide whether they're going to win or lose the game. And I think both teams are going to have that desperation. It's going to feel like a game 7 on Friday at the Kia Center. And we'll see if there is an actual game 7, which I'll agree with you. I think Detroit will probably win a game 7, but I will give the Magic a puncher's chance because this team has been surprisingly resilient in this series. I don't think they have quit. And look, they played with their backs against the wall for the last 3 weeks.
Look, I picked the Pistons to win this game 6 because I want the Pistons to win. But like I said, I'm shocked that the Magic are not favored. I felt like they should be favored in this game because this is their best chance. I mean, they're going to be home 8 and like, I'm shocked that people don't think they're outside of bias. I'm surprised people aren't just saying, hey, the Magic, this is where they close out here. I think it's fair for the Pistons to be favored in game 7, but I think it's kind of disrespectful, to be honest, to the Magic that they're not in game 6.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Like, all we can do now is play the game. Like, it's just like, what is there left to say? Just play the game and we'll see what happens. Ku, it has been a fun series, man. Regardless of what happens, love hanging out with you. Love chilling with you. Hope the Magic fans didn't take your trolling too hard. You're my guy. You're my guy.
Yes, sir, man.
I'm defending you wherever we can. I want to.
I got you too, man. I
want to do this in the Eastern Conference Finals next year. It's way too early.
That would be way better.
Playing this series. Way too early to be doing this series. As always, guys, you can follow Locked On Magic, Locked On Pistons. Download it wherever you download podcasts. Apple Music, Apple Music, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey. All of them I see download podcasts to your podcast enabled device. Find us on YouTube. Search for Locked On Magic or Locked On Pistons. You can find us where you can find us on social media. Y'all know where we're at. And be sure to check out our Everydayer Club if you want even from us as the playoffs continue. You can find that at lockedonpistons.supercast.com as well as lockedonmagic.supercast.com. As always, thank you guys for your support. For those of you on video, we send you the first ever 24/7 National NBA YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen NBA Game Night on Locked On NBA. But that's going to do it for us on this crossover edition of Locked On Magic and Locked On Pistons. Be sure to check us out after the game on Friday for a complete recap of Game 6 and whatever comes next for both of our teams. Until next time, for Locked On Magic and Locked On Pistons, it's been Philip Rossman-Reich for Khahil. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of our respective podcast or crossover edition of Locked On Magic and Locked On Pistons.